Welcome everybody to UFO Man Live. My name is Tim or UFO Man. Tonight we have a special guest by the name of Karen Holton, who is an experiencer and an author, and she talks about trans-dimensional life forms and the encounters she has experienced with them. So we are going to dig deep into that subject matter. And we're going to start off with Polly asking the first question, since Polly seems to know Karen a little bit better than I do. So, Polly, take it away. Can't hear you, Polly.
Yeah, you're muted.
Here I am. How are you doing? Karen, I'm
Good.
so happy to have you with us. Just just to hear you, it's amazing. I want to start with your childhood. When did this start with you? Especially because you talk about those dreams that sometimes we have as experiencers that we feel we are crazy or those are just dreams and turns out there are not. So when did you start your first experience with the phenomenon?
Well, it's hard to put my finger on it exactly because it was a very long time ago. But basically, um, I had, let's just say, a difficult childhood in a very dysfunctional family. And then I had these gifts that were not recognized by anybody else. And I just want to quickly say that my family were very opposed to me talking about anything paranormal because they were afraid the neighbors would think we were crazy. I went on to religions and churches trying to find answers. And then I got told that I was messing with the devil and demons and all that. So I learned to keep my experiences very close. But an early one that I remember very clearly, I was aware of all kinds of intelligences. Like when I would go out to play, I used to hang out with and talk to the trees and the flowers and the bees and the bugs and the caterpillars and everything. And they were my friends. And they were sure a lot less complicated than other humans. But I also knew that there was an unseen world that other people weren't acknowledging or talking about. And I'm not sure why, but at night I used to be very afraid. And this is really common with experiencers. So I was so scared at night, I would tuck myself completely under the covers, not even wanting a toe to stick out or anything. And I couldn't breathe. And I was so scared. But my family life, like I said, was so abusive and dysfunctional that it could have been that. I don't know exactly, but I was really frightened. And then one night, this amazing creature appeared to me, and it I didn't know what it was until I was in my 20s, but at the time it was I knew later that it was a griffin. And it wasn't just a griffin. A griffin has like an eagle head and eagle wings, and it has the body of a lion. But my griffin was all made of fire. It was very dramatic and very amazing. And telepathically, the griffin told me that it was there as my protector. And as long as I needed it, it would appear and it would take care of me. And so for years after that, I would just telepathically call to my griffin friend. I didn't have a name for it or anything. And I didn't even know what it was. Like I said, it wasn't until I was in my 20s, I was looking at a book that had different so-called legendary or fantasy creatures, and I saw the griffin. I went, oh my god, that's the same as the creature that appeared to me. So that was I was awake when that happened. Now I don't know if I was hallucinating or what. Like I don't even try to justify some of my experiences, but it really helped me so very, very much. I had other experiences. I remember being only about 3 years old, sitting on the toilet, and there was a pattern on the floor that was big black and white checkers. The tiles were big black and white checkers. And I noticed that at the very edge where it connected to the wall, there seemed to be a distortion. And I didn't know what it was, but I was very curious. I wasn't afraid. And I leaned over and I just looked at it. And all of a sudden, the whole floor started to move and undulate like waves. And when it got to the point where I was like getting a little bit scared, then it collapsed and went right back. So I knew from the time I was 2 or 3 years old that reality was not what everybody else was saying it was. And so I've been stuck with one foot in the three-dimensional reality and one foot in this other reality all my life. And yeah, so that's sort of where it started. The other thing that's really common with experiencers, I had vivid dreams of flying. Oh my God, it was so wonderful. And I could fly up high and look down and see streams and hills and flowers and mountains, or I could fly really close to the grass and feel it tickling my body. And it was so thrilling. And it wasn't until much later when I was in middle school that we had films. And then I saw aerial photography, which I had never seen before. So how did I know what everything looked like from the aerial perspective? So that's sort of my childhood summed up for you.
How did you talk up with your parents about it? Because I know in your case, this is also generational. So when did you communicate this to your parents? How did you try to talk about it, because we don't even have a way to prove what we saw.
No, I couldn't. I tried and I was just punished. I was punished for talking like that. So I stopped talking like that. And then every church, I went to quite a few different churches and they all said the same thing. You're consorting with demons. And so I was either, my family said that people would think I was crazy. And that was a horrible thing. Nobody wanted, crazy people around. So it was either my choice was being crazy or being evil or completely suppressing everything from a very young age. And I knew about suppressing because I'm on the autistic spectrum and I had to suppress my stemming and all my other coping techniques because, again, my family, well, first of all, they didn't have diagnoses back then, and they didn't have diagnoses for women or girls back then. And so my parents just thought I was such an embarrassment to the family. And so shut up was all I ever got, and punishment, which was painful.
I understand completely on that one.
Yeah.
I'd go on great dreams and all kinds of crazy stuff. And one time in 6th grade, I had a crazy dream with one of my friends, right? We went and did some really cool stuff. And then I went to school the next day. I saw my group of friends and I was like, I had a crazy dream about you. And Yumi went and did this stuff. She's like, oh, and then we did all this other stuff. I was like, you remember? And that was like the first time I truly was like, that there's something more to these dreams than just I dreamed, because why were her and I sharing the same dream? That's crazy, right? Yeah, no, I understand. I tried to tell it to my parents and they were like, you can't say those kind of things.
One thing I want to say is, like I was saying, be backstage, that I read a scientific report that stated that 75 to 80% of our sleep pattern at night is actually an out-of-body experience. So everybody is traveling outside of their body and experiencing some type of lucid dream for at least a portion of their sleep time. Me, on several occasions for the last 2 years, I have been visiting the same people time and time again every night. And when I wake up, it's a sense of loss when I no longer see them, because it's like I left them and I want to get back. And sometimes I even think it's not, I don't know the reality I'm in when I wake up. I don't know where I am. And I know this is a common occurrence for people that are having OBEs or lucid dreaming. And it is part of the consciousness raising of frequency to actually contact these beings. And that's what I want to talk to you about, because I've had several close encounters and body marks left on me, and actually had a hooded figure move toward where I was sleeping one night, because my ex saw it, because she woke up in the middle of the night, turned the TV on, and it blocked the TV, and it was moving toward me. She could not move. She tried to scream to wake me up, couldn't scream, and she fell asleep. And when I woke up in the morning, my clothes were on inside out and wrong side too. So I know they had taken me, but they didn't know how to put the clothes back on. They just put them on any old way. And I had 3 bruises on top of each knee, like they were impact bruises from somebody holding me down really hard with 3 fingers. And as we all know, there are stories out there of alien grays having 3 fingers. So I don't know. It's things are happening, and people need to know the truth. And maybe we can get to that with you.
Yeah,
I can tell you.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say that, that this is why I think Karen's story is so important also, because we have many ways of contact. When people talk about direct contact, it's kind of meaning you saw the craft, you saw the aliens, but not every contact is the same. And it doesn't mean it's less remarkable or unique from other contacts, And that's why even people that are dreaming these kind of experiences should stand by them, because this is also another way of being contacted, right?
Well, that's very interesting what you said, Polly. And what's also interested is that a lot of people that are into what we call ufology, just as a broad category, they're not too interested in what I have to say, because it's completely the opposite end of the spectrum than the nuts and bolts. And
Right, exactly.
I never had a spaceship come and pick me up and gray beings transport me through the roof onto the ship. Like that kind of a scenario is better accepted than the whole transdimensional. And the transdimensional experiences, I've had tons of them, but as far as ET goes, that happened in about 2014, and it happened for 3 months only. It started abruptly and it ended abruptly. But the interesting thing is there's a time dilation. So my experiences were like 3.5 years, which is why I had so many experiences, even though I only experienced it for 3 months of our Earth time. And I want to explain to everyone I was on no medication, no drugs, no hallucinogens, not even cannabis, nothing during that time. Nothing. Maybe tea, maybe the odd cup of tea. That's it. Not even coffee. And so at first it started happening, and I woke up in the morning and I thought, oh my God, these are the most vivid dreams I've had in years and years, almost since I was a child. And I thought I was dreaming, but then I went to bed that night and I picked up exactly where I left off. So it was kind of like living 2 lives. And so during my waking hours, I was here in the 3D in my normal life. Of course, I was messed up because it was a lot for me to mentally process. I would go to bed, go to sleep, and be there. And I'd be there for weeks, maybe even months, wake up in the morning, and I'm back in my bed. And always a major disappointment to come back to
like
Earth.
no time had
so many
passed.
reasons. Like no time passed. So I was either here or I was there. That's it. That's what I did for 3 months. And it was every night. As soon as my head hit the pillow, I was gone. And it's interesting the different forms that I took. I would love to talk about that a bit too.
Okay.
And the other thing I wanted to say is these beings aboard what I call the big ship. And the big ship would be what your audience might think of as a mothership, but huge, massive, millions of beings living on board.
Would you
And
say that that ship would be bigger than like say a planet? Like scale?
not that one, but many of them are. Many of them
Oh,
are
cool.
quite literally larger than planets. There's all kinds of beings that don't live on planets. Planets are not the safest places to live. There's all kinds of stuff going on,
Right.
with the solar emissions and earthquakes and God knows what. But
That's
I just,
that's why they thought 3-1 Atlas might actually be a craft rather than a
yeah,
piece of rock. Um, but it might have been shielded by rock, but it might actually be a craft because it was making maneuvers that it should have made according to physics.
yeah. Now the big ship. I just want to. This ties into my dream states. The big ship. Think of it. Think in your mind about a Venn diagram. A Venn diagram is separate things that overlap in a small area that share the same space. And if you can imagine in your mind something that looks like a giant daisy, and each petal is a different transdimensional reality, it's a different dimension, it's a different timeline, it might be a different universe in the multiverse concept, it could be the spiritual realms, each one, and they're all joined at the center, like the center of a daisy, and they all overlap. And so beings like me and many other kinds of beings could easily be transported to the big ship for as long as whatever the purpose is, and back again, because it's in those spaces. So for a long time, it took me like 3 years to figure out where is the big ship. And I would talk to my friend who I call Bob the Gray. He's like a spiritual guide. And then one day it just hit me. And that's how things come to me. It's just like instantly I know that this was in trans-dimensional space. So the big ship sits in a trans-dimensional envelope, right? And it's not in this star cluster. It's not in that galaxy. It's not in our solar system.
Right.
It's not at all confined to the three-dimensional. I'm sorry, I went off topic and I can't remember what the question was.
It's actually in a different dimension.
Yeah.
It's actually between dimensions.
Yeah.
Which is why other dimensions can travel through it. What I was going to say is we have a question from Joanne87. Is it possible that when time traveling on the ship, you were very small, as were the millions of passengers?
Well, I don't know. It sure didn't seem like it. In fact, it seemed like the other beings, most of them were much larger than us, humans being on the small side. There were a few other beings that were smaller than me, but most were quite a bit larger in my perception, and very tall, broader frames, extremely healthy. Healthy like we can't even imagine. It was so hard to come back and go out and do my shopping or whatever and see the state of humankind. We are sick and weak. Something is seriously wrong with our health. And the other thing I wanted to say about these beings is many of them look very much like us. I have an image here, and I used to have very long hair. And when I was having those experiences, I had very long hair. So this is AI generated. This is not a selfie. I didn't take a camera. I want to be really clear about that. But this is an AI generated impression so that I could show you some beings look very much like us and some look more like what we would consider to be grays, but very humanoid and not scary and not monsters at all. And they are at our next stage of development. So as soon as we stop, and it has to be consciously, we have to make up our mind to stop being so angry with each other, jealous, competitive, political factions, religious factions. We're torn apart in so many ways by the
Or
powers that be
divided?
on this earth.
Yep.
Exactly. And we need to step beyond all of that. And then we'll start to move into their reality, which is only our next stage of development. It's not like super evolved and millions of years old. It's not that far, but I got shown what life could be like for us. And oh my God, it just makes me want to cry. It's such a relief. And I want to
You
bring that
know,
to humankind.
we're sick on this planet because the powers that be, and I refer to them as the deep state, the ones
Mhm.
that are in control of the ET technology that is in the hands of the deep state. They're
Mhm.
using extra low or ultra low frequencies to manipulate how we feel, how we act, what we do, what we purchase, everything like that. And that's how
Mhm.
they govern our lives. And that's why we're sick. Um, I really believe that that is the case. Now, in regards to your long hair, I've heard tell that people with long hair, especially women, receive downloads through their long hair. In
It's our
fact,
antenna.
yeah, that's true though. It is the truth because it's like monofilament cable directly to your brain. And
Yeah.
according to the Germans, they got the schematics for their anti-gravitic discs, like the Hanabu and the Vril, from three women that had super long hair, and they were channeling information from a higher life form that wasn't from here, wasn't necessarily from our galaxy, could have been from a different dimension.
Mhm.
And they were getting the build ideas for the discs, and that's how the Germans
Mhm.
advanced. Uh,
Mhm.
and they had two working craft in 1926. They had the Hanabu one and they had the Vril, but they were nuts and bolts. They were really difficult to control because they didn't understand the technology yet. Because
Mhm.
mankind has a tendency to be very arrogant in their ideas about physics, that their physics is the only physics out there. And so we look at things conventionally and we think, if we can't make it work with our physics, then it doesn't work. But that's not
Mhm.
necessarily the case. If we looked at it from aliens or higher life forms um, point of view, we would need to know that higher life form's point of view in the first place, and we don't. And that's the thing. When we learn it by connecting through consciousness connection, we can discern that technology and possibly put it to use. I really believe that if we can get the deep state to release some of that technology, our world will turn for the better. We will have better things to help each other out. And the problem is we have to remove ourselves from arrogance.
Mm.
Everybody has an ego, and ego is what is destroying our planet.
Yep. And I also firmly believe, based on my own experiences, that remote viewing, astral projection, out of body experiences, near death experiences, lucid dreaming, and on are all part of the same phenomena, includes telepathy, and we're all capable of it. So I'm not some kind of special being. I was given a special experience. I was able to write about it and share it in my books, for a purpose. But we can all do this if we just have the right state of consciousness and heart content. And I just want to say about my hair, what happened, my hair was halfway between my butt and my knees. It was very, very long. I went in and had a trim. This is interesting. I went into a hairdresser I didn't know. I went in for a bit of a trim. I got talking. She got me talking, and I wasn't paying attention to what she was doing, and I couldn't see because I had my glasses on. And she cut my hair to about a quarter of an inch all over my head. And I think that was some kind of negative divine or negative entity experience. And so now I'm growing it back, thank God. But it was very interesting how I came out of there almost bald, and it was kind of shook me up a bit.
No, I understand that because of the connection that you had consciously through your hair. Yeah, I do. And if people want to read up on that, you can just Google it. Google the 3 German women with the long hair that received consciousness channeling during World War II, and you'll understand what I'm talking about.
The Americans also had intel work done by First Nations men who had very long hair, and it was their long hair that allowed them to do that as well. So there's more evidence for what you're saying.
We do have a question from Denise Furt. She says, I wonder if they can heal us.
That's an interesting question. Hi, Denise. I love you. Sorry, I love her. She's my moderator on my channel. So
she's amazing.
As for healing goes, I have people challenge me saying, Karen, I know you have health issues. Why don't you just get your ET and your spiritual friends to heal you? And I understand the question, but they're missing an important spiritual component. First of all, I came to this world, born in this body, to experience certain things for my own learning and evolution. And sometimes suffering goes with that. Sometimes it's the suffering that cracks us open, allows us to be open to spiritual gifts and spiritual ways of doing things. But also, my guides do not want to do anything for me that I can't do myself. And so instead, they gave me a path and they give me the information so I can learn how to help my own health and how to take care of myself. And a lot of that is stepping out of mainstream society, which is extremely stressful. I'm going to go out on a limb and say for everybody. And, you know, I had to learn how to do this. So I'm slowly reversing a lot of my illness and issues through my own well, primarily being in touch with my body. My body tells me when I'm in touch with a person who's not good for me, when a food is not good for me, when I need exercise, when I need sunshine. My body is my wonderful guide. And so my guides and my ET friends, while I'm on Earth here in this 3-dimensional, they want me to learn how to do that and then to share that with humanity.
Wow, that's really good because you know we all have ailments of some sort, right? And it's true though. It's like, you know, one of the best things we could do to help heal ourselves is be happy, and you have to let go of all the stuff that is just out there that is makes us unhappy, right? Because then we dwell on it and then we add to the unhappiness. When we are happy and we choose to be happy, our body heals faster. We feel better. We sleep better. We everything better. I agree.
Yep. So that's why. Anyway, that's my take on it.
I guess I was going to say, in regards to healing us, there are cases where experiencers have had an abduction event and they have actually been healed of something that they had dramatically wrong with them by the entities. So yes, they can heal you, but in some cases, before you incarnate on Earth, you choose your path. And I sometimes wonder why I chose the path I did, because it's been really rough over the years. But now it's turning into a much better path. I'm able to express what happened to me and what's going on with my life in regards to the phenomenon. And I'm a big part of it because I have had experiences and I've had, in my opinion, contact with the Greys. I don't know if I've actually seen them. I do know that the creature that walked or floated across the floor toward me when I was sleeping on a couch was not a Grey. It was a reptilian, because my friend actually saw a tail and actually saw what appeared to be scaly fingers sticking out of the robe. Couldn't see the face. It was hooded. And a lot of people refer to them as the Watchers. This thing moved toward me, and when I woke up in the morning, my clothes were on inside out and wrong side too. And I also had 3 impact bruises on top of each knee, as if 3 fingers were pushing down hard to hold me down. So I do know that I've had physical activity with these beings, wherever they come from, whatever their agenda is. I'm not sure. I mean, everybody speculates that it's a hybrid program. That's possible, but I don't know. And
Well,
I won't say that it is until somebody gives me some definitive proof
well,
and
it
chain
could be
of
more
data.
than that too. It could be more
It
than
could be
just a
way
hybrid program.
could be
Like
way
you just,
more than that.
yeah.
But I know that after that, I've had many lucid dreams where I'm off planet because I see myself on a planetoid that has red dirt, red dust flying around in the atmosphere. The sky is kind of orangish red. The people are dark skinned. They're wearing like white toga like outfits. There are these stone huts that have slits for windows that go all the way around the middle section, and they have one door going in the front. And I remember asking in one of my dreams, what are those huts for? And they said, this is for sleeping only. And then everybody walks around outside, and then the dream ends. But I've had that dream several times. It always goes back to where I'm trying to look up to see their face. And when I try to see their face, the dream fades. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like we're being protected from being scared of something that we are not accustomed to seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I heard about that, and we talked about it also with Jeff Silver in the last interview we had with him. Sometimes it's kind of they have this ability to kind of, I don't say erase, but to hold our memories somehow in order to avoid some kind of post-traumatic situation after the experience, which is also very interesting. I was thinking about it because sometimes we hear that those species or aliens in general, maybe they lost their empathy, as human beings. We feel we are taken and maybe we are doing things with our bodies. And in this case, I would like to ask you, Karen, like, during your experiences, do you know, did they tell you where do they come from? What are they doing here on planet Earth with you? What kind of species they are? And did they teach you something? Sometimes they take us to teach us how to fly the craft, or so what was your goal there?
Okay, before you start, I got to answer Joanne. Joanne B7 said, in your dream, was the huts or buildings 1 level or 2? Joanne, they were 1 level. Okay, go ahead, Karen.
Okay, so yes, I learned many, many things while I was there. And one of the first important lessons for me to learn was how to do telepathy appropriately. And a lot of people think telepathy is you just sort of broadcast and everybody's minds pick it up and it's in English. Well, no, that was not my experience. My experience was that there is different levels of telepathy. So the first thing that I had to learn was to keep my my telepathic transmissions to myself, to not share them with anybody. You can do that. It's called shielding. And what that does is it sets a stage for, much better cooperation amongst beings. Now, the beings are not of any specific race. They're all humanoids. We're all part of the same species, but we're different races and different family lineages. They have no concept for racism, no idea about it. People are just energetically can connect. They can connect through telepathy. They can get to know each other, and they can be attracted or not attracted, or attracted in many different ways to each other. And so telepathy also means learning how to broadcast to maybe only one or two people. And then also to perhaps a room full of many, many people. So there's different sort of strengths that we learn um, to use, and that was a big job. I worked every single day practicing. They do have some technologies that help assist with that. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to learn how to do it without any training wheels. I knew it was important. And so my buddy, everybody, when you experience being aboard the big ship, you're assigned a buddy. Buddy is generally someone who looks the closest to you that they have on board, someone you're going to feel comfortable with. A lot of the mission of the big ship I was on was hospitality. It was about receiving beings from all different realities, helping them to adapt, feel more comfortable, learn how to do telepathy properly. And so what I did was I did use one technology quite a bit, and it it would be like what we would consider virtual reality, but it's not goggles. It's just a little band that fits around the head with two little nubs that rest on your temples, and then you interface directly with the big ship. So the big ship is alive, it's conscious, and it holds all the vast stores of information, knowledge, everything. And so I was having tutorials. I stayed in my room, often sitting on my bed cross-legged or laying out on my back so that I could completely devote myself to this virtual reality training. And I learned 4 different stages. It's all in my book, Transdimensional Meet the New Neighbors. And I eventually got pretty good at it. At that point, I was able to go out, make more social connections, start training for a vocation. I was able to, it was much, much better because now I could contain, you don't want to share every weird thought comes into your mind with everybody. That's like airing your dirty laundry. That's not going to happen there. So out of respect for the other beings, and the whole atmosphere is extremely respectful. They don't have political parties. They don't have gender designations and gender roles. It's so different than here, so very different. But I got to experience what it was like. And I know we can have a world like that without really too much effort if we want to put away all the dysfunction, and we can move through it. So that goes back to healing again. We can heal our own dysfunction. We can heal our own traumas. We can learn better ways of adapting and being with each other. And indeed, we need to learn how to do that in order for us to take our place amongst all these transdimensional beings. And they're all different. They come in all different colors, skin tones. Most are actually shades of brown. Some would be closer to what we would consider black. Some are similar to what we would consider white. There's some that have sort of bluish tones. There's some that have sort of orange tones. And I have quite a few images, of course, as I mentioned before. They are AI generated. They're not selfies, but I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an example of what some of our transdimensional brothers, sisters, and cousins look like, so that they won't be afraid. Because fear just sort of shuts us down, and we don't want to be in fear mode. We want to be open, to these wonderful, wonderful beings. So they have incredible health. Yeah, they're lovely. And
You
when
know
it was
how
over,
Disney tried to discredit alien life forms
yeah,
by creating what they said they created, the green alien, right? Little green aliens. Well,
yeah,
the funny thing is, there is a man in Israel by the name of Yossi Ronan, who I've interviewed twice, who had a face-to-face contact with a green alien. He looked like a gray, but he was green. So green aliens do exist, but they're rare. Contact with them is rare. But I wanted people to know that little green aliens do exist.
they come in all different, and just and their genetics, because there's no racism. These different beings have been having relationships and children, and generations pass by. Everyone has the ability to get their records and find out what their ancestral DNA is all about, but most people don't really care about that. Most beings just are in this beautiful, harmonious way of living and loving each other. But we could have a family here on Earth that's from one specific village or town. And maybe there's 5 kids, and they all look different. Some got bigger ears, some got bigger noses. We got different
Mhm.
shaped eyes. We got so much diversity. Well, the same is true for ET. So there is no one kind of ET. It's very, very blended and very, very beautiful. And then every being has their own way of grooming, dressing, interacting physically. So that there's just so much diversity, I couldn't even begin to tell you. There's no right or
And
wrong
the
way.
thing that, it's the same with us. We human beings are so different, and that's the beauty of who we are. The difference is that unfortunately we took that beauty for division. We want to divide ourselves all the time because of religion and the color of your skin and your sexual preferences. And I feel very much like you, the same message from my experiences. Stay
Mhm.
humane. Go back to that, the human beings that you are, your feelings, your empathy, your love. That's your main characteristic. And so we can build a better world. I would like to touch another subject with you. For me, it's very interesting, and it's the trauma subject, because I've been feeling lately, um, and I don't know if it's really correlated, so this will be my question. Um, I feel people that suffer from traumas, post trauma, in my case, is complicated PTSD. But
Mhm.
those traumas somehow make us feel more deeply for human beings and in general. Our empathy, even though we were so bad hurt from humans, still is kind of that trauma make us more empath for
Well,
people.
it's
And
because we don't like suffering, and we don't like to see other people suffering, and suffering
exactly,
is
so
not
the
good.
question would be, um do you think that empathy caused by traumas can make on us some special frequency
Yep.
that make us easy to contact, you know,
Yep.
the
And
others?
I think the word also is dissociation. So when we're 100% present and grounded in the here and now, in the three-dimensional, then we experience the three-dimensional. But when we are traumatized, especially when we were young, we learn to dissociate. It's the only way to survive. When we dissociate,
Exactly.
we're part here and we're part someplace else. And it
Yeah.
opens us up to beautiful, beautiful connections with angelic beings,
Yes.
spiritual beings. I know there's some really scary ET experiences people have had, and I never want to discount that. But my experiences and many of my friends' experience has been the love is so incredible. And we learn to deal with our dysfunction and our trauma. We learn how to forgive. We learn how to understand that maybe if the roles were reversed and we were raised with their genetics, their life experience, the way they were raised and treated, we might see it very, very differently. So, we're
Yeah.
not that different. And so we can be angry. Sure, go ahead, be angry all you want, be angry for as long as you need. Or we can start looking for the gifts and the jewels that are buried within that trauma. But it's
Exactly.
it's a it's a job. I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's amazing what comes out
And
of it. And
it's not only the trauma. I think that's why the healing is so important too.
mhm,
Because, it's not only the traumas we lived as human beings, but sometimes our ET experiences can feel sometimes very tough in our souls. We don't know how to deal with them. And so the healing it makes it easier to
Stronger.
understand and makes us stronger and our frequencies stronger because we know ourselves better. That's my feeling. The
yeah.
healing and the trauma are
I I
connected.
I really
And
believe I really
sorry, I
believe
just want to quickly say, I'll tell you what did not help me. And that was the mental health agencies that were referred to.
Yes,
Did not help me one bit. So I found solitude was my best friend for healing.
yes,
Sorry, Tim, go ahead.
what I was going to say is we really need to become stronger within ourselves and more
Yeah.
confident within ourselves because someone said one time that I'm sure everybody's heard this, that no one's going to take care of you except yourself. So if you take care of yourself, right, you will grow within your own consciousness and you will ascend to a higher frequency. Um, Meditation helps. So if you can learn to meditate, you can raise your chakra and your consciousness level to where you can understand more what's going on with you. And in regards to what Polly said, in regards to healing, um, it does help you heal. It makes you feel more positive. And if you're more positive, you feel better. I always feel better when I'm positive. When I
Definitely.
feel negative, I get sick. So it's better if the world would learn to deal with a positive rhetoric rather than all this negative divisiveness, which is destroying us right now. And
Mhm.
right.
I think the beings are well aware of the fact that we are going down the wrong path as a planet, and they're trying very hard to help without helping.
Mhm.
Now I know that sounds contradictory, but the thing is that they are trying to help us
Well, they can only point us in the right.
understand.
He only points in
Right,
the right direction. We have to accept it ourselves. Otherwise, even if
right,
they did show us it, we would still not accept it, right? So,
right. That's
they just
that's
have
the
to show
problem.
us the way, and then you as an individual have to accept what it is and move forward with it. And that's hard to
Right.
do for a lot of people.
Sarah's been trying to teach me to cast off negative feelings about other people, which has been helping me greatly in dealing with my healing process. So I've become much more positive because of it. And she has a really good grasp on consciousness and its value to humanity. So I listen to her a lot. And same with Polly. Polly is really in tune with it. So go on, Karen. Let's hear more of what you got to say.
Well, I wanted to say, and I think this is really important. We've been taught from the time we were very young to go to external sources for support and help. You know, doctors, religious leaders, politicians, experts, people with education, this, that, and the other. And we don't learn to go within. And only by going within are we really, really going to make the spiritual connections that are going to sustain us and help us and guide us. So one thing I get a lot when I'm on other people's shows, they go, well, I listen to Bashir, or I listen to Melchizedek, or I listen to this or that. And they hang on every word and they think all that is true. Well, that's true for that person, like the Bashir or the Melchizedek or whoever. But we need to find our own. And when we go within and we tap into the spiritual realms, we have something, first of all, that nobody can take away from us. It's never wrong for us. And it doesn't spread cult-like thinking. And so I'm not saying that people that listen to Bashir or whoever are into a cult. I don't mean it that way. But I am saying that we need to take responsibility for our own spiritual contact. And in order to do that, you need to go within and listen to the body. The body is a wonderful guide for spiritual connection. So I hope I haven't put too many of you off by saying that. But this is my experience and this is my truth. And this is how it is for me.
Hillbilly Herb says, build your own life raft and get off that island. No one is coming to save you. I have to add something to that, Hillbilly Herb. No one's coming to save you but yourself. You need to rely on yourself, and then you can reach out to others. I think we got Polly back.
I brought her. Okay, now we're fighting over her again.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. We're glad you're back, Polly.
I'm sorry. Okay, keep on. I'm sorry.
But I just, to add a little bit to that, it's like the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, right? And once you conquer fear, you can approach things in a more logical manner. But then fear is also healthy to keep you safe from going, like, say, off the cliff, right? If you feel like there's an edge coming up, don't keep walking until you fall off. Stop,
One thing
change
I
direction.
want to mention is outside of transdimensional beings, which are millions and millions of beings,
Beyond what you could ever imagine.
beyond the sand on a beach. Yes. What I'm going to say to you is there are still incarnate beings within our own galaxy, and there are beings from other planets. I have many friends that have encountered them, but they are not transdimensional. They are here. Now, there are some that are here that are negative, that are transdimensional. And they're known as the Fomorians, which are the regular reptilians, not the Draco reptilians, but the regular reptilians. The Draco reptilians are here to help us advance our consciousness and our frequency so we can ascend. In regards to the other reptilians, they are here for nefarious reasons, which I don't want to state in this live stream. But there are beings within our galaxy and other galaxies within our physical plane that exist. But the transdimensional beings are more new to us because science has finally identified over 16 different dimensions. And there are many more than that. I know that you were saying in an interview one time, Karen, that imagine a bunch of ovals overlapping each other in the same space, constantly going for infinity. That's a lot of dimensions. And each dimension has its own physical space. So if you could imagine that each dimension might have planets just like we do, and a galaxy and other galaxies and alien life forms or non-human intelligences on those planets. Imagine how huge the universe is and how interconnected it is. And the fact that the universe is actually alive. The Hopi Indian tribe suggested that the galaxy and transdimensional universes are connected by a spider web. So when we started blowing off nuclear weapons here on Earth, the reason why UFO sightings increased is because we set off a shock wave that went into the different dimensions and also went to every planet in existence. And they were warned that this planet was taking a negative turn and we needed help. So what Karen is saying is justified because they're here to guide us, not necessarily do it for us, but to guide us. And that's where I stand.
Yeah, I'd rather be pointed in a direction and said, "Go figure it out," because then it works for me, not what somebody else says to do. Figuring it out for yourself is truly important to move forward in anything in life, right? So, I agree.
Karen, I would love you to take us to your books. How did you decide that you are going to do that new step to write a book and share your experiences with the whole world, which is so important? I love so much your approach, not only because of your experiences, but because I feel very much like you that we should not impose our experiences as the law, but make it just a little piece of this huge puzzle that we are all building. So, how did you make that decision to write your book and how did it go?
Well, up and between 2014 and 2017, I was synthesizing my experience. I was trying to make sense of it because I'd never heard of anybody else talking about transdimensional. It's funny, the title. I was given in the dream state the title to use because I didn't know what to call it. But what happened was I made friends with Chris Matthew in 2019. He's the owner of the Forbidden Knowledge Network and the news channel. And he had me on, and then of course COVID hit, and he did an online conference. It's the only conference I've ever actually been invited to. It's funny, people just kind of give me a little bit of a distance because of my experience. So I said, sure. So I wrote up a bit about it. That would have been the beginning of an outline towards my book, but I didn't know I was writing a book then. I went on and I did my presentation, and Preston Dennett, who many of you probably are familiar with him,
Yes.
He's written over 30 books. He's a wonderful man. And Chris and me and Preston did a round table where we were talking about our experiences, and it was filmed for this Forbidden Knowledge News Con. And afterward, Preston said, Karen, would you send me a digital copy of your presentation? I'd like to share it with my friend Dolly. Would that be okay? I said, sure. Yes, I said, sure. So I sent it to him, and him and Dolly read it over. And Preston just came right back and said, Karen, you got to write a book. Now, I was hoping he'd write the book for me the way he did for Dolly, but no, it turned out that I had to do it myself. And so that's when, about 2020, I started putting together notes and information. And then one day in, I guess, 2024, my guides are invisible, and they're from all different realities. You can read about that in my book too. I cover all that. And they just sort of gave me a kick in the butt and said, Karen, get it out this year. You have to use this title, and you need to get it out this year. So, and oh my God. So I started getting up early every morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, spending 2 hours editing and putting the information together. Preston sent me everything I needed, like, for instance, a step-by-step on how to publish to Amazon. And I would never be here if it wasn't for Preston Dennett. I love him so much. He's such a good man. So that's his
Yes.
fault that I have the books. But so finally I got it ready, and I knew I had to get it done before 2025. So in December of 2024, I published my first book. And I thought, thank God it's over. I don't have to do that anymore, because it's a lot of work to write a book. Just the editing is just crazy making. I was working with AI, and it was the old models trying to get images, and like, it was just nuts. So anyway, got all that done. And then over Christmas time, I had the overwhelming urge to create, like crazy, AI images of what we consider to be the Greys. Now, the Greys are not any one race. They're not from any one dimension or star system. There's great diversity. The only thing they have in common is their skin does not reflect light in our visible spectrum of color. So they do have color, but we can't see it. And so we lump them all in together as the Greys. Well, the funny thing about this, I had a very old free version of this AI model, and somehow it connected with me on a level I can't even explain. And we were able to generate all of these amazing images of beings that look like Greys. And that included, like, the hybrids, males,
Yes,
females.
that's how the little babies hybrids that I saw when I am taking to the craft. Yes,
So here I
amazing. That's a
was
wonderful job.
So here I was having to write another book, and I thought, I don't know what to write. So what I did was, I did the first chapter in the book was from my experience with my friend, my spiritual advisor, who I call Bob the Gray, because he comes across physically looking very much like what we would consider a gray. So I wrote about that. I wrote also about, the beings on the big ship and the diversity, just so people understood that the Greys are not the only friends at the party, right? And then I asked people that I had met if they would each write up a page or a paragraph on their experiences with the Greys, because, like Dolly Saffron, she's got lifetime
Yes.
experience with the Greys. And so this is the write-up she submitted, and here's a picture of Mama, who was her ET contact. I had Preston Dennett write up, a page and submit an image from what he
Right.
has had experience with. I included the Kinsella twins out of England, who both had experiences as children, but not at the same time. Elsa Dillon, Jimmy Blanchette. Anyway, there's 7 people who each put in a page that makes up the second chapter.
I
But the
think the
whole
Kinsella
rest,
twins, the
yeah,
Kinsella twins actually dealt with the reptilians too.
yes, they have. And so, here's more images. So the book has got very little reading. Only the first couple chapters is reading. The rest is over 250 images. and including, like I said, the hybrids. And the reason I was compelled to do this, I said, why do I have to write another book? I'm tired, I need a break. And they said, because it will probably be one of the gray races that will make themselves known to humanity, probably in 2025 or 2026, very soon. And so we want people not to be afraid, because if we're afraid, we're controllable by the deep state, or whatever you want to call it. But as soon as we're grounded, we maintain our critical thinking skills. And so this book is to help people get familiar with beings that are not human, who look different than us, but it doesn't mean that they're bad. Some might be really good. The children are just children. And you can really see, the AI did such a great job, because you can really see in their eyes that they're children, and they're beautiful, and they're worthy of love. And so this book, I only had one person who bought it who was disappointed, because he had read my first book, and he thought the second book was going to be more of the same, and it's not. It's mostly images, but you can flip through it. You can flip through it with your friends. You can flip through it with your children, and everybody is kind of going to get used to beings that look a little different than us. Most have larger eyes than us, but so that we're not going to be afraid. And if you do find them in your room in the middle of the night, you're not going to be as afraid. And the less afraid you are, generally, the better treated you are by the ETs. They're not afraid you're going to punch them in the nose or take a bite out of them, like some humans do, right? And so the second book is a picture book, and it's to reduce the fear for humans, so that they're kind of going to go, so that when they put on the news what the grays look like, people are going to go, yeah, I know, I saw that in Karen's book, right? You know what I mean? They're going to stay grounded and open-minded. And that was the purpose of the second book.
It's another way to grow consciousness, It's another way to make people more
aware,
kind of related to the phenomenon.
Because we need to see we've been so brainwashed and programmed to see difference. If it isn't the color of your skin, it's your religion. If it isn't that, your politic. But even within politics, there's subdivisions of that. If it isn't that, it's your religious beliefs. Maybe I already said that. If it isn't
money,
that, how much money you make. If it isn't that, it's the size of your body, or your orientation towards loving others. Like, it's nuts what we've done, and we need to pull that all back. I love
to accept and love. It's much easier. Hate takes so much effort. It does. And it's so much easier to go, no thanks, I don't want to be a part of that, and I'm going to go be happy over here. Happiness is important. It's how you can get over things and move forward. You have to want to be happy. You have to choose to be happy.
Right.
You do. I want to answer the what is it? TETS 4316. Sunday, I'm having Les Durant on my show, which is called the Aliens and Angels podcast. He is going to get into all things orbs. So I don't really have a lot of experience with orbs. So I can't say, although I did have a recent one that was quite interesting, but he's an expert. So you might want to come over and join me on my program on Sunday. Oh, that's tomorrow already. At 11 o'clock Pacific or 2 p.m. Eastern, and ask him. He would be the perfect person to ask. Can I just tell you my orb experience? Because this is only a couple weeks ago this happened.
Sure.
Okay, so I get a lot of migraines, and I see arcs of flashing colors a lot. This is not uncommon for me. So I'm lying in my bed, I'm watching my TV, and I see a little circle of flashing lights. And I go, oh, I guess I'm getting a migraine. It's just auras, nothing to worry about. But the difference is my auras are usually in big arcing bands. Okay, this was just a little sphere. And it got bigger and bigger. And as it got bigger, it came closer and closer and closer to me. And when it came about a foot from my face, it was really quite large. It was just kind of all undulating colors and movement. But the thing that freaked me out is I have a lamp beside my bed that has different colored bulbs. And I realized the reflection of these different colored bulbs was being was being was
Reflected
flashing
back.
and being reflected off of this orb. And at that point, I went, "Oh my God, this is not a migraine aura. This is a real orb." And so I just waited because I didn't know what to expect. And I
What to do?
The orb became bigger and bigger, and I can't explain this, but it became one with me and I became one with it. And I think it's still with me. I can't explain it. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it means. I don't say things unless I truly believe them and if I truly experience them. I don't make stuff up. My book would be 10 times bigger if I made it up. I would have found true love on this spaceship. I would have done so much more, but I only stuck to my actual memories, and I don't even have all my memories, but I had enough to put the book together. So that orb experience was really interesting. I have no idea what it was.
Did you have any kind of telepathy message or something with that orb?
Nothing. It was just a phenomenon that just happened. No, I kind of wish, but no, I don't know.
That's beautiful.
For everybody that's listening online and everybody who's watching in the chat, if you're interested in buying her book is Transdimensional Meet the New Neighbors, and it is available on Amazon for $15.99 in paperback or $7.99 in Kindle. If you want the one with the pictures of the grays, so you can familiarize yourself with what the grays, the many different types of grays, what they look like, that is also available on Amazon. And that is available for $18.99 in paperback, or I think it says
$5.99.
$5.99 on Kindle. I couldn't read that, I'm sorry. And then if you want to reach Karen, she's got a really good YouTube channel called Karen Holton TV, where she's got her Quantum Guides show and her other show. So you can find her uncensored on Rumble, Odyssey, and X. Also, not that one. She has a website called Karen Holton, where you can find crystals and her shows. So check that out. And let's see, I got something else, don't I? No, that's it. Okay. And so if you want to find Karen, she's out there. Please support her channel. Please support her website. We want to bring her up from 2,000 subs to at least 20,000 or more, because she is very informative and very important to the phenomenon. So please support Karen in all her activities. And that's what I got to say about that. In regards,
thank you.
In regards to upcoming shows, which I want to show, we have Dr. Michael Sala coming on Wednesday, the 21st. He's going to be talking about alien contact, the secret space program, things that are really going on in Antarctica, and the true nature of disclosure. And then on the 31st, we're having Barbara Eberhardt from Germany talk about her experiences within a hybrid nursery and her many encounters with hybrids. So that'll be very interesting. Also coming up, we have Daryl Sims, a good friend of mine, who's going to come on and show us a case of implants that he helped remove with Roger Lear in surgeries from people that were implanted during an abduction scenario. And he's going to talk about individual cases. And then Richard Doty is coming on the 18th of February. He is OSI retired. He used to be counterintelligence. He's a United States Air Force retired, and he's a UFO researcher and special agent. We're going to talk about deception or design. Is the government deceiving us by design, or is it something else? Because possibly Richard Doty might have been an original Man in Black. So we need to talk to him. Also, we have Albert Rosales coming up on the 25th of February to talk about the 5 major races that are interacting with Earth right now, which are the Nordics, the tall whites, the reptilians, the mantids, and the grays. So we're going to be talking about that on the 25th of February. So if you can attend, please do so.
Wonderful.
Let's go
Yeah,
down.
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say my experiences are transdimensional. So at no time did I have a spaceship come and, like I said earlier, pick me up and take me through the wall. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen. I'm just saying, I offer another piece of the puzzle.
Right.
We put the pieces together. We take what we want. And we disregard the rest. That's our right as humans and global citizens. So I just wanted y'all to know I don't claim to be an expert. I do not represent the beings aboard the big ship. I talk about my own experience, what it was like for me, what I learned, what I do as a result, and I don't have any experiences yet, except for that orb that happened a couple of weeks ago. With really the local grays or reptilians or anything. So I think we each share what we know, and then it's up to the audience to put the pieces together and form their own hypothesis on what's going on. But I'm going to say one thing. I've never seen the kind of cruelty amongst ETs that I have seen amongst humans against humans.
Right.
It's got to stop, and it's got to stop now.
Yes, we are 100% behind you on that thought. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
We have to become a positive society and stop being so divisive and so barbaric, because we're still on a barbaric level. So when a lot of these entities from local space interact with us, they don't really want to come down to the planet's surface because they know we are a threat to them because of the way we act. We act like children that haven't been disciplined, and we need to be disciplined to where we can gain access to the intergalactic society. And I want to thank you, Karen, for coming on tonight, or actually this afternoon. I'm so used to broadcasting at night that I have to say tonight. Well, anyways, I want to thank you for coming on this afternoon. Let's go down the panel and ask our last question. Polly?
Karen, thank you so much for joining and sharing your experiences and your point of view. I love it. I very much feel like you think the way you think about our experiences, how much is important to stand by them, even though if you didn't see the craft and the aliens, our transdimensional experiences are legitimate, are unique. We don't want to convince no one. We are just little pieces of this huge puzzle. And that's why your books and your experiences are so important too. Because the way of how you explain everything makes it simple, humble, and bottom line, be the light for each other and see the light in each other. And let's try to make a better society for our kids too. So, my last question for you will be, what is disclosure for you, whatever that means?
I I think the majority of disclosure is already happening. Those of us with experiences, we're talking about it, we're sharing. And so I think the problem is some people, they want to see the hard facts. They probably wouldn't believe that anyway. They probably aren't ready for it anyway. So let's just keep the conversation going. Speak our truth, be brave. Nobody needs to take ridicule or negative experiences from anybody. We can still stand up for ourselves, and we go where our friends are, where the love is, and we stay away from the bad actors. At least that's how I see
Exactly.
it. And we just
Yes.
keep working
Yeah.
on ourselves. But I also want to stress people need to take responsibility for their health, regardless of what the powers that be say we should be eating or doing. No, our body will tell us. And we need to make a return to healing on a very, getting fresh air, sunshine, doing all the things we need to do so that we can be strong and stand up to the psychic and physical and emotional attacks that could be around the corner. So yeah, for me, disclosure is let's just keep sharing, keep talking about it, keep reading the books, and be in a state of awe, like when we were children. Go back to that. That's an
Right.
awesome way to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Sarah.
Well, I know for myself, a lot of what you were saying there, I've too experienced with fantastic adventures, going places and stuff. I've also woken up with like 3 finger bruises on me and little triangle shapes and all kinds of weird things, right? You know, um, people always said that I was sleepwalking, but half the time nobody ever saw me sleepwalking. I was just somewhere else, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I would try to tell people about it, and they just say, "Stop lying. You couldn't have a dream that like that or at all, right? You couldn't have met all those people. You couldn't have done all that stuff." I mean, it was like weeks of stuff that I would tell them about, and they'd be like, "No, you just were asleep for like an hour." Well, okay, but in that hour, I did something cool. Do you want to hear about it or not, right? And
Mm-hmm.
some people do, some people don't, and you got to be able to talk to those who do want to hear it, because sometimes that can help them out in what they're going through too. You know what I mean? So I
Yes.
think it's important that, like you said, we all keep sharing our experiences and keep an open mind, and don't shut everything down, because, well, that's not right, because there's some stuff that just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it didn't happen either. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I gotta
enjoyed
add
talking
one
with you.
thing. I gotta
Thank you.
add
Me
that
too.
I do agree that disclosure is already happening. Lou Elizondo came out and said disclosure has already happened because we already have government officials talking about it. We already have people saying, yes, UFOs are real. They're in our airspace. They're traveling in our airspace with impunity. We don't have any way to defend against them. We don't know what their agenda is. We don't have any idea of what's going on. But that's not true, because us as experiencers do know what some of the agenda is, and they're not listening to that because they're focusing on the nuts and bolts. They want the technology. They don't care about the consciousness level. And what we need to do is push the consciousness level so that people see that consciousness is the key to opening up contact. And what I wanted to ask you, like we agreed on backstage, what do you think we need to do to prepare for formal contact?
That's a good question. Well, I think it includes a whole bunch of things. First of all, I know I can only speak for myself. For me to deal with stress, because let's face it, there's going to be some stress involved, whether it's the humans creating the stress, whether it's just this completely different experience that none of us, or many of us didn't never expected to have. We need to take care of ourselves. Again, people don't want to hear this, but you need to eat well, sleep well, love well, get some sunshine, make your peace with the planet and the birds and the trees and your pussycat and your puppy dogs. Like, these things are really, really important. And the higher our level of health, the more frequency we can hold, and the more unshakable we become, and the more united we can stand together. I also want to thank you guys so much for having me on your show. Oh my gosh, what a privilege. And I've had Polly on my show. I'd love to have you, Tim, on. And if you want to bring Sarah, come on and tell us what you know, because it's important. Just keep sharing this information out there. But I think disclosure has already happened. It's already happening. I think, though, there's going to be more. It's going to become more obvious to the common person. And there's not a damn thing that the deep state can do about it. And this is ours. We're going to go for it.
I think we will accept your
Right.
invite, and
Definitely.
we will arrange it with you backstage or through email or through Messenger. We'll set up something, okay? And maybe
Awesome.
we'll bring Polly along with us so
Sure.
we can all have a roundtable on your channel, okay?
Absolutely.
I want to thank everybody who watched online tonight or this afternoon. I did it again. And I want to thank everybody who participated in the chat. And I hope that you will come back and join us again on Wednesday for Dr. Michael Sala. He's going to discuss exopolitics, which is something that he is very knowledgeable in. And I hope you will come and join us. So from all of us on the panel, let me bring us up like this. From all of us on the panel, I want to say good night, good afternoon, have a great rest of your week, and we will see you on Wednesday.
Bye.